Uh, Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible. Let me know if I'm audible. Then I'll start the session. Yeah, India won today in the ODI. Let me know if I'm audible. Yeah, sorry for being late. Sorry, I'm late uh, little bit. So, hey, hi, Palash, hi, Amit, Abhishek. Yeah. Okay, looks like I'm audible. So, great. Uh, awesome. Okay, so today we'll talk about. I'll cover the remaining questions of binary search, and then I'll start some questions on sorting, right? Okay, so that's the agenda of today's lecture. Well, okay, great. Just give me 1 minute. I'll do my setup and then we'll start the session. Sorry for the delay. Okay, and in the meantime, if you want, it would be great if you can let me know about the like speed of last lecture. Was it slow? I was going through the feedback of week 1, and I mean, so some of you were not happy with the speed, right? Uh, like what to say? Like for some of you, it was too slow, and for some of you, it was. I mean, speed was good, right? So you can let me know. Okay, video is not clear. Okay. For notes, okay, I'll share the link of that Google Doc in the video description itself. Okay. Actually, I had shared that link in the comments of session on YouTube. So okay, blur video. Yeah, blur video is one concern that I can work on. Okay. Yeah, regarding the note, I'll share the link of Google Doc in the video description of YouTube, right? So if you are on watching on YouTube, then you will find that. Uh, okay. Still, if you're on LinkedIn or Facebook, still I'll share that link. I mean, the link of that Google Doc. Okay. How to focus on coding and development in job? Abhishek, I mean, are you working somewhere or you are still in college? Okay, so I mean, let's say if you're in college and so in that case, of course, you will have to focus on your academics. You'll have, I mean, you should have a decent CGPA. That's the one thing. Apart from that, you can devote your extra time in coding and you can build something, right? So building something is really cool. So like you can try building a Android app, you can build something in the front end or back end or anything, right? So yeah, you will have to do both the things, coding and in fact, coding is involved in development as well, right? So this thing, I mean, these two things are not much different. Okay, I'll share the link of the note, right? Don't worry about that. Let me quickly share my screen and then we'll start with the session. Uh, and I mean, you can ask your doubts in the chat or we have shared a, I mean, we have shared a, I would say, question form. I mean, doubts form for the second, I mean, for this workshop, right? So you can ask your doubts there as well, or you can write in the chat section as well, right? So, let me share the screen. Okay, so I'm saying how much GPA? Well, I mean, it should be decent enough to get shortlisted in the on-campus placements, right? So for some companies, it is 7. So 7 should be good enough, right? But some companies have cutoff of 8, right? Well, so that's the. Just wait for a second. Yeah. So today I'll you know uh, discuss the remaining questions on binary search. Okay, like for finding the first and last occurrence of an element in a sorted array. And then yeah, so we'll discuss actually 4 questions on random search, right? And then I'll start solving some questions on based on sorting. So that's the idea. Okay. uh, well, okay, let's do one thing. Let me start with the question based on sorting, and then I'll complete the questions on band research, right? Because I mean these questions are little easier than questions on band research. Okay. So again, I'm not going to teach you sorting, like what is sorting and what is merge sort and quick sort. So for that thing, what you can do is you can either, so I mean we have videos on quick sort and merge sort, right, on our YouTube channel. You can go through that. We don't have that much time, that's why we can't cover everything in this workshop. Okay, so let's cover some questions on sorting, like how sorting can be used to solve some problems. I'll also talk about the concept of merge sort next, in the next lecture. Yeah, but I can't talk about every sorting algorithm like quick sort, let's say like bubble sort, insertion sort, selection sort, or merge sort, right, or counting sort, right. But let's see what is the use of sorting and why we study about sorting, right? So let's solve one very common problem. It's a very basic problem, I would say. Open that. Well, sorry. It's a quite simple question, but this will help you to understand the usefulness of uh, sorting, right? Yeah, this is on YouTube. So the recording will be there on YouTube for this lecture. Mhm. Okay, so I'll go through your comments after some time. So let me discuss the first problem, right, which is based on sorting. The question is, uh, we will be given an array like this, and this array, and the elements in the array represents the uh, cost of some items, right? So it's a toy. So let's say the cost of first toy is 1 rupee, or second toy is 12 rupees, right? And similarly, the cost or the price of third toy is 5 rupees, right? So we'll be given an array of n elements. Let me quickly, just give me 1 minute. Well, so let me explain the problem. Okay, so let's say we have an array like this, right? Here n is 10. That means the size of the array is 10, right? And k means 50. 50 means we have total, let's say 50 rupees, okay? Or the amount of money is 50 total, right? So it's 50. So what is the maximum number of items that we can purchase with the help of this amount k? Okay, so we'll be given an array of some integers, uh, and the size of the array will be n. Like in this example, it is 10. We have 10 elements in the array, and let's say if we have 50 rupees, right? Let's say the total amount that we have is 50. Then how many items, what is the maximum number of items that can be purchased with that amount, right? For this example, we can purchase the item with price 1, like this one, the first item, the third one, uh, 9 and 10, right? Then I can purchase, let's say 12, so it's 15, 25. Yeah, so basically we can purchase total 6 items, right? Okay, so we have to think, we have to think of a logic that can solve this problem. So we'll be given an array. So let's say we have to write a function, and in the function will be given the array, and n is the size of the array, and k is the total amount that we have, and we have to return the maximum number of items that can be purchased with the help of this amount, right? With the help of this k. Like for this example, the answer is 6 because we can purchase 6 items with the help of 50 rupees. I hope the question is clear. Mhm. Well, I think it's very basic question, right? So the idea is simple. We should start purchasing the items which has the lowest cost, right? Okay. So we should purchase the item which has the least cost, I would say. Okay. Yeah, I can increase the font size. Like the array was like this. The array was 1, 12, 5, 111, 200, 1000, 10, 9, 12, and 15, right? So this was the array. Yeah, I hope you understood the question, right? Yeah, we have to find the maximum number of items that can be purchased with that amount given k. Like with the help of 50 rupees, we can purchase the 6 items, right? Because the sum of the price of these items are 20, is 49. Yeah. Basically, the 6 items can fit in this budget, right? That's why we can purchase them. Okay. So yeah, so the idea is simple. We should start purchasing the items which has the lowest cost, right? Which has the least cost, I would say. Okay. Like in this example, we should, purchase this item first because it has the least cost, right? Then we should purchase this item, then this, and so on, right? So the idea is simple. We should sort the array in ascending order, right? Okay. Yes, Vamshi, we can go with the min heap. Yeah. Okay, so we have to maximize the number of items, right? Of course, we can purchase only one item in 15 rupees. Like we can purchase only, let's say, this item, right? But we have to maximize the number of items. That's why the answer is 6. So idea is simple. We should simply sort the array in ascending order. So after sorting, the array will be something like this: 1, 5, 9, 10, 12, 12, 15, 111, and so on, right? And once you're done with the sorting, what we should do is we should start, picking the items until the remaining price or the remaining amount that we have is more than the uh, cost of that item or more than the price of that item, right? So that's the simple logic. I think this is the easiest problem based on array or sorting, I would say. Repetition is there. Yes, repetition is there. Like we have two elements with price 12, so repetition is there. Okay, and if you know C++ or Java, we have inbuilt functions like sort, right? So these inbuilt functions will help us to sort the array. Okay, so we have functions like sort. In Java, we have again collection.sort, which will help us to sort the array. So in every language, we have something inbuilt that can help us to sort an array, right? So we'll use that thing. Let me show you some sample code, I would say. So let's say we have a function called find max number of items. Okay, let's say this is a simple function, right? So I won't write that long function name. So You should try to write the better variable, but I'm just writing. You can save some time, right? So yeah. Well, sorry. So the idea is if again n is 0, that means we don't have any item. We don't have any item to purchase, right? Or k is 0. In both the cases, we can't buy an item, right? In that case, we can return 0. Let's say the cost of or the price of each item is greater than 0, right? So you can't purchase an item with, you know, with k equal to 0, right? Otherwise, let's say we have answer. Answer is the count, is the maximum number of items that can be purchased, right? So this is the answer. What I can do is, of course, I'll have to sort the array. So I'll sort the array. I'm using inbuilt function called sort. Of course, in your language, in JavaScript, in Python, we have similar libraries that can be used to sort an array. Sorting the array, and I'm sorting in the descending order, right? Normally, by default, it will be this. It will be in the descending order itself. Right. Yeah, this can be done in less than log n time. I'll talk about that later. So now what I'll do is I'll simply write something like this while I is the index of the array. So of course we can write for loop or something. While k is greater than 0, or I would say k is greater than array of, I mean if the k is the remaining amount, and if the remaining amount is greater than the price of the current item, right? In that case, we can purchase that. In that case, I'll increase the uh, count of total number of items, and then I'll update the k is equal to k minus array of I. And yeah, we can do I plus plus as well. And then we are, so there's one more thing, like in some cases I should not be more than n, so I should be less than n. That's a simple code for this simple problem. So this is the simple use case where we need sorting, right? Okay, in build sort, which function is used? Okay, normally for array they use similar to quick sort. So the cost will be, yeah. So what do you think? What is the cost of this function? The cost of this function is O of n log n. If you don't do any sorting algorithm, my suggestion will be go through some of the sorting algorithms like bubble sort, insertion sort, merge sort, quick sort, right? You can find videos on YouTube that how to do that, right? So, and the cost of those algorithms are n log n. That's why I'm assuming that, let's say, this inbuilt function is using something similar to quick sort. So that might take n log n. That's why I'm writing n log n complexity for this inbuilt sort function. This while loop can take big O of n. Okay. The total cost is n log n plus big O of n, right? So the total time complexity is nothing but n log n plus O of n, which is n log n itself. Okay. And what about the space complexity? Any guesses? What is the space complexity for okay, so Tina is asking, can we use prefix some array? You can try that. You can try using that as well. Yeah, so we are doing in the ascending order only, right? So this is the in ascending order only. Mhm. What about the space complexity? Any guesses? What is the space complexity? Okay, space is O of 1, right? Because in this function, we are not creating any new array. This array is already there, right? So we are not creating any new array in the function. That's why the space is O of 1 only. It's in constant. We are simply using some variables like answer and I, nothing else. We are not creating an array of size n, or we are not using any extra space, right? This array is already there, right? So in this function, I mean, the cost of this function is O of 1. If you talk about the space complexity, the space is O of 1. Mhm. Okay. Any doubt in this question? Yeah, so I'm starting with a very basic one, right? So don't worry if you. Great. Let me quickly discuss one more problem, right? Which is similar to this one. Uh, and the problem is, so let's say there's a thief, right? And thief is going to, you know, steal some items from someone's house, right? And let's say in that house there are some items, and let's say the price of those items are. So again, this problem is similar to the knapsack problem. If you heard the name knapsack problem, a knapsack problem is very common interview question, right? So I'll come to that. But before that, let's say the question is, we have a thief, and the thief has entered into someone's house, and in that house there are some items, right? And let's say the price of, or I would say the cost of that item is, let's say the first item is 20, then the price of second item is, let's say 70, then 100, then 30, then 200, and then let's say 40, 10, and so on. So let's say we have n is equal to 7, means we have 7 items, and the thief has a bag, right? Let's say thief has a bag, or you can say knapsack. Okay, and let's say the bag has some capacity. Like let's say the bag can only, like a thief can only uh, keep k items in that bag. Like we can't keep more than k items in the bag, right? V means thief, right? So thief can't keep more than k items in the bag, right? So now the question is, and let's say here k is 3, or let's say k is 4. That means the thief can't pick more than 4 items from this, from these items from that house, right? So what is the maximum uh, amount of items, or what is the maximum cost of items that the thief can steal from that house, right? Like for this example, I mean, the thief should go with the, with the, I would say, the most costly item, right? Like this one, then this one, then this, right? So if the thief can only pick 4 items, in that case, the answer will be uh, 410, right? So 410 is the answer for this example. So basically, we have to find the maximum price of items that can be stolen by the thief, given that we have n items of different cost or price, and the capacity of bag is k. That means the thief can only uh, insert k items in the bag, not more than that, right? So what is the maximum number of, I mean, what is the maximum total price of items that can be stolen by thief? I hope the question is clear, right? Yeah, yeah, it's that simple, right? So it's that simple. What we can do is we can simply again sort the array in now in descending order, right? So the array should be something like this: 200, 100, 70, 40, 30, 20 and 10, right? And we can pick the first 4 items from the array, and first k items, I would say, and simply find the sum of these items. And this is how you can get 410. So this is another application uh, where we are maximizing the the profit for thief. Okay, so this is another use case of sorting, right? And these kind of questions are called greedy. Okay, so we just solve 2 questions based on greedy. So greedy is a kind of algorithm in which we, of course, will talk about more questions on greedy, but this is the one question, these are the 2 very basic questions on based on greedy. So in greedy, what we do is we simply pick one item or n items or k items in descending order or in ascending order, or we simply decide in a simpler way, right? Like if you talk about this example, what we are doing is, or what the thief will do is, the thief will pick the item. Uh, I mean, the thief will the item which has the highest cost, right? Okay, so that's the simple logic, right? So the thief will pick this first, then this, and then this, right? So the idea is simple. We'll go for, so we're just being greedy. We are simply picking that item which has the greatest value, okay, or which has the highest cost. So the idea is simple. That's why it's called greedy, because we are simply being greedy to uh, okay. SK is not a dynamic. It's not a zero or knapsack, right? It's a simple problem. It's not a zero knapsack. Anil, we are using sorting, right? So this is a application of sorting. Okay. Yeah. So anyone who could not understand this problem, uh, anyone? Yeah, priority is a better option for both the questions. We'll come to those things once we are done with priority queue, right? So for right now, we are simply using sorting. Okay. Let me talk about another variation of this knapsack, which is called fractional knapsack. It's a problem similar to the previous one. This is the third problem, right? And it is quite similar to the previous one, right? Here things are same. We have a thief, and thief has entered into someone's house, and thief has a bag. Bag means knapsack, right? So thief has a knapsack with some capacity k, and let's say k is 50 kg here. Here the difference is the capacity of the bag is measured in kilogram, in kg, right? So that means you can keep items of weight till 50 kg, right? So that's the idea. And let's say in that house there are many items, and each item has some price, or you can say value. Okay, and another is weight, right? So each item has some weight as well. Like let's say there are 3 items in the house, right? So the price of first item is, let's say, 60, and the weight of that item is, let's say, 10 kg. Similarly, the price of second item is, let's say, 40, let's say 100, 120. And let's say, so I'm taking this example from Geeks itself. And let's say weight is 30. And let's say the price of third item is 100 and weight is 20. So we have 3 items. N equal to 3 means we have 3 items. And each item has some price and weight. Like first item has price or cost or value. 60 and its weight is 10 rupees, right? And now we have 50 kg of, like, the thief can only uh, pick the items till 50 kg, right? So we can't, like, if we are picking all the items, then the weight of all these items will be 60 kg, right? So we can't, you know, the thief can't keep everything, right? So we have to pick some, we have to, we can't pick everything, right? So the thief has to decide, like, okay, which item should be picked and what is the maximum uh, price of items, or what is the maximum value of items that can be stolen by thief. And the good thing is that it's a fractional. Fractional means we can break some item. Let's say these items are breakable. Like, let's say these are okay. Breakable means, let's say, uh, like, you can take a portion of something, right? Okay. Like, let's say if you are not able to pick 20 kg of something, let's say you have only 10 kg of remaining, then you can, and let's say the total weight of that item is 20 kg, and in the bag, in the knapsack, we have only 10 kg space remaining. In that case, we can take the 10 kg of that item, right? So it's a fractional. That means we can take the fraction of those items. So in that case, what do you think? What should be the answer for this example? So the answer will be, the thief will pick all this whole item. The thief will pick this whole item, and after picking these two items, the thief will have uh, 20 kg remaining space in the bag, right? So the thief will you know, pick the 20 kg of this third item, right? And the price of 20 kg will be, again, 120 is the value of the item with 30 kg. So basically the price of the item is 4 per kg, right? 4 rupees per kg or something. So for 20 kg the price will be 80. So answer will be 240. Okay. So we have picked the whole item, and we are picking simply 20 kg of this item, right? It's 20 kg of this item. And for this item, the price per kg is 4, because the price of 30 kg of item is 120. So the price of 1 kg is 4. Right? That's why we are picking 20 kg. That's why we are adding 80 as the value to the sum. So the answer will be 240. So this is called fractional abstract problem. It's a common interview question, you can say. So let me know if the question is clear. Can we pick Sanjay? Okay, Sanjay, we don't have multiple items, right? Like, we have a single item of uh, so this is a single item, right? We can't pick multiple pieces of that item. We have a single item of 10 kg. Of course, we can have multiple items as well, but those items will be given in the array. If two items have same price and same weight, that will be given in the array, right? But you can't, like, we don't have multiple copies of all these items, right? I hope the question is clear. Repeat, please. Okay. Okay, let me repeat it again, right? So I hope you understood the previous problem, right? It is similar to that. We have a thief, and thief has entered into someone's house, and thief has a bag, and bag has a capacity, let's say 50 kg, right? And in that house, let's say there are 3 items. So we'll have n items in the house, and each item will have some price or value and some weight, right? For the first item, the value of that item is 60, let's say 60 rupees, and the weight of that item is 10 rupees, 10 kg, right? Similarly, the price of second item is 120 and weight is 30 kg, and so on, right? So the question is, how much total, I mean, what is the maximum price of items that can be stolen by the thief, right? Like how much, like for this example, the thief can pick the first item, the whole item, right? The first whole item, then the third item, and it can pick the 20 kg of this second item, right? That's why we'll have, and the price of 1 kg is 4 rupees, because the price of 30 kg is 120. That's why the price of 1 kg is 4 rupees. So for 20 kg it will be this much, right? So total answer will be 240. So basically the thief can steal the items worth 240 rupees from this house if the thief has a bag with capacity 50 kg. Let me know if the question is clear. Can we pick 120? Yes, you can do that, right? And 10 of 10 kg. Okay, so Srivastan, I have repeated that thing. We don't have multiple copies of same item, right? So you can't pick 10 of 10 items of the same thing, right? Like we don't have multiple copies of this item. We have a single item, right? With price 60 and weight 10. Lakshya, yeah, this is what we have to find, right? We have to think that okay, how we can solve this problem, right? So in the input will be given the array. We have to, I mean, we'll be given these two arrays, the price array and the weight array, and the k and n, and we have to find the total, price of items that can be stolen by the thief. Sanai is asking how to know which item to be picked. Sanai, that is the problem, right? We have to find like okay, which item should be picked. Yes, Ashwi is asking how to code the logic for the best robbery. So that is the problem, right? I mean, that is the job of a developer. You have to think about the logic, like, okay, how to uh, design an algorithm for this problem, right? Okay. So this is the problem. So any cases like what we can do. So the idea is simple, right? If you remember the previous problem, the idea was start picking the items with highest cost, right? Or with the highest price or with the highest value. Okay. Or I would say start picking the items which is the most costly item, right? So what do you think? Which item is the most costly here? So the idea is simple, right? We can simply find the price per kg of that item. That will help us to compare the price of these items. Like for the first item is 6 rupees per kg, right? Okay. The second item is 4 rupees per kg. So obviously it is cheaper than the first item. The third item is 5 rupees per kg. And how I'm finding that? We are simply dividing price by weight, right? That will give us the rate of that item per kg, price per kg. So that means the first item is the item with highest cost. Second is the cheapest item, right? And second one is it is costly than the second one, but cheaper than the first one, right? So the idea will be simple. We'll start picking the items which is costly, right? Okay. So we should pick this item first. Then we should go with this one. Then we should go with this one, right? Okay. So that's the simple idea. We should try to pick the whole item if possible. If not, like when will be this item? So we will have only 20 kg remaining in the bag, because the knapsack will have the limited capacity, right? So we can't pick everything. So in that case, the simple idea is we can take a fraction, like we can take 20 kg of this item. So total weight of this item is 30 kg, but we can't pick every item. So we'll pick only 20 kg of that item. Okay, and the price of 20 kg will be 80, because the price per kg is 4. That's the simple logic. Rashmi is asking how to solve it, mean how to approach for max. See, I mean, this is what we have to think, right? This is what problem solving is. We have to solve a problem using, by applying some algorithm or DS, right? And that is the application of DS and algo. We'll have to apply, we can solve a problem easily by applying some algorithms or some DS, right? DS concept. Well, yeah, let's see how we can implement the code, right? Like now we have to sort these two arrays by price per kg. Okay, so let me, actually I have okay, let me search in Google as well, fractional knapsack. So what we are going to do is we like, okay, let me show you the complete code, right? So let's say we have, again, we can have two arrays. In one array we can have value, and in one array we can have weight. But what we have done here is we have a structure, because we need two things, right? For each item we'll have two things. So item is a structure. In Java it's a class. In Java you can assume that, okay, item is a class. Uh, Again, you can implement in your own language. So the simple idea is we have a class, a structure called item, which has two things. One is value or price, and one is weight, right? Okay. uh, and the idea was simple. We need to sort the items on the basis of the ratio of price per kg, right? Okay, because price per, I mean, the ratio, I mean, the ratio of value and weight will give us the price per kg thing. So we have to sort the array on the basis of price per kg and in the descending order, so that the uh, costly items will be at the beginning, so that we can pick them early, right? So if you can see, we are simply sorting the array. This is the syntax of sorting an array in C++, and we can customize sorting like this. So we have implemented a CMP function like this. Again, for coding you should know C++ or Java or Python or something, right? So I mean, this is a part of C++, so I don't know how to explain this. But if you don't know how to sort in C++, the one thing that you can do is you can learn about the basics of C++, like how to write if else, loops, functions, how to use inbuilt functions like sorting, and how to do customized sorting like this, right? Customized sorting like this, right? So we are passing a function called CMP for comparison, CMP for comparing two elements. And here we have two things, item A and item B. And what we have done is we are calculating price per kg, right? Value by weight. So this is how we'll have price per kg, and we are simply comparing them. Sorry. So I mean, this thing will help you to sort the array by price per kg, right? In Java you can use something else, right? So I hope you know how to okay. Yeah, so once you are okay, let me, yeah, now I think you can see the code clearly, right? So Yeah. Here we go. Yushi is asking, can we do 10 kg instead of 10 kg? Shweta, can you please explain vector array list little bit? Shweta, that is part of this. I mean, that is part of your language, right? So that is part of like vector is in C++. So the one thing that you can do is we have a course called uh, okay. So on Geeks for Geeks, you can learn anything. Like you can simply learn, let's say, you're new to C++, then what you can do is, if you're new to Java, then what you can do is you can simply learn C++ or Java from here, right? And no need to learn everything, right? Just learn the basics like if else and loops. You can ignore things like processors and other things. And then you can learn about STL, like how to do sorting, inbuilt sorting in using STL in C++, and what is vector, what is pair, what is list, what is key stack, and so on, right? Yeah. You can ignore the things like I mean other libraries you can ignore. You can study the basics of object-oriented programming, but that is not very much required for simple code, right? So knowing inheritance is good enough, and knowing object classes are fine. You can ignore the other things, right? Like you know the remaining all these things like local class and all these things, right? These things are not required right now. You can ignore these things as well, right? So you can ignore all these things, right? So only learn the basics like arrays, strings, and STLs in C++. Again, in vector there are a lot of things. There are things, but you can ignore some of the things. If you know like how to push back in the array, how to pop back from the vector, that is fine, right? You can ignore some of the things of these things. Okay. Similarly, for Java, you can ignore multi-threading, circuit programming, Java FX. All these things are not required. Only Java collections is important, apart from basics of Java like if else, loops, and so on. Okay. Uh, well, mhm. Pratik, I mean that will. I'll be also writing the same code, right? If I'm writing the code for this question, I'll be writing the similar code. Well, I don't think I'll be writing a different code. My code also will be similar to that. So that's why I'm simply showing you code in here. That will save some time at least. Yeah. So now we have the array sorted on the basis of price per kg. Then we are simply, this is the current weight and this is the final value. I mean the answer. And we are simply checking if the current weight plus the weight of that ith item is less than or equal to the capacity of the bag. That means we can pick the item. So we can increase the current weight and we can increase the answer, right? Otherwise, if the current weight plus the weight of that item is not, I mean, if that not less than the capacity of bag, that means we can't pick that item as a whole, right? We have to take fraction of that item. So in that case, we'll find the remaining weight of the bag or remaining weight in the or remaining capacity in the knapsack, and we will only pick the that fraction of that item, that ith item. That's what we are doing here. Okay. So you can do one thing like again. I mean, this thing might be new for you, right? Like this thing, right? So what you can do is, I hope the logic is clear. So you can find this link. You can simply search fractional knapsack on Google. You will have this link, and you can go through the code by yourself. That will make that will I mean, that won't be tough to understand, right? Well, Raj is asking how much time you should devote in a question. It depends, like how much time do you have, right? So let's say if you are in first year or second year or in third year, and if you have enough time, then you can try. You can devote enough time. If you don't have that much time for the interviews, right? So in that case, you can't devote much time, right? So let's say you have only 6 months for the interviews. In that case, you can you can't devote a lot of time on a single question, right? So that's the thing. Well, yeah, we have a lot of questions based on sorting and based on greedy, so we'll discuss those things later. In the meantime, okay, if you remember the last question that I had, so let's discuss some questions on binary search, right? The remaining questions of binary search. Just wait for a second. Question was, we will be given an array like this, okay, and we have to find the first occurrence and last occurrence of an element in the sorted array. Like we'll have, how to increase the font size, well, yeah, so let's say we have something like this. We have a sorted array, okay, uh, and x is 5, so we have to find the first occurrence of x. The first occurrence of x is this one, right, index 2, and the last occurrence of 5 is here at index 5. So we have to find the first and last occurrence of a given element like x. In this example, the first occurrence of 7 is at 6, and this is also the last occurrence, right? So we have to find the first and last occurrence of an element in the sorted array. This is a very common interview question. So this question has been asked in companies like Amazon, Adobe, Microsoft, Google, right? So it's a very typical interview question. Okay, so I hope you got the question. I mean, finding the first and last occurrence of an element in the array. Okay, this session will be there on YouTube, right? So on YouTube, you can find the session because it is being live on YouTube. So it will be there on YouTube. Yeah, so any cases like how we can find the first and last occurrence of an element in a sorted array. Yeah, someone is saying we can trace linearly. Okay, sounds good. What else we can do? Okay, the one simple approach could be we can simply iterate in the array like this, right? And when we will find the first occurrence of that element, we will store that thing as the first occurrence. And when we will get the last occurrence, we'll find the last occurrence, right? So we can simply iterate linearly, like a linear search. So the method one is quite simple, right? Using linear search, right? And that will take O of n time. And if you remember, O of n is much worse than log n, right? So if you can solve in log n, and we can solve this problem in log n, right, using binary search, right? So just think about method 2, in which we can apply binary search to find the first and last occurrence of the element in log n time using binary search. So can you think something? Okay. Okay, another solution could be we can simply find any of the occurrences of that element in the array. Let's say we are here, right? Then we can traverse to the left side until we have, you know, an element not equal to 5, and we can traverse in the right side till we have 5, right? So that's the one thing. But again, in worst case, that can also take O of n time, right? So we can't traverse linearly. If we can find the first occurrence and last occurrence in log n time using a variation of binary search, that would be great, right? Okay. So let's focus on finding first occurrence, and then we'll see like how we can find the last occurrence. So let me just wait for a second. Let me find the first occurrence. Like how we can find the first occurrence of a given element, right? And then we can talk about the last occurrence. So the idea is quite simple. Again, in the function we'll have like left will be 0 and right will be n minus 1. That is the typical binary search thing. We'll find middle L plus R by 2. Like for this case, for this example, L is 0, R is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 8, right? So it is basically 4. So the fourth element is 5 itself, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it should be 9. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so it is 4 itself only. So the fourth element is again, so here array of middle is x. So again, this middle can be the binary search, right? This middle itself can be the binary search. I'm sorry, the middle can be the first occurrence, but we can have some more elements in the left side. Like here, we have more elements in the left side, right? In that case, what we have to do is we have to search the first occurrence in the left side. Okay. So we'll simply check if middle is equal to x, but if middle minus 1, if this element is also equal to 5, that means okay, this is not the first occurrence, right? We have more elements on the left side. So now we'll again try applying binary search in this left side of the array, right? And now uh, again middle will be 3, right? I mean we'll have middle equal to 3, so which is less than 5. So that means we'll have to search in this range only, right? And now in this range, I mean this far element is the first element, right? So the idea is we'll simply check with the middle, and if the middle element is okay, let me write the pseudocode, and that will, and then I'll discuss this thing again, right? Well, so let me write some pseudocode that will help you to understand things easily. Well, let's say we are finding let's say we have the array, we have n. N is the size of the array, right? And x is the element we are looking for. So typical binary search is while we will have is equal to, again I'm writing pseudocode, so you can forgive me for some syntax error, right? So L is 0 and R is n minus 1, right? While L is less than or equal to R. Not the case, that means we don't have minus 1 means we don't have any occurrence of that array, that element in the array. So now we'll find middle. L plus R by 2. Array of middle. That's the case. But there's one more thing, right? Either if middle is equal to L, that means we don't have any element in the left side, right? That's the case. Otherwise, or we can write if middle is equal to 0. Because in some cases, the middle can be 0, right? In that case, that will be the first element itself. Either this case or the array of mid minus 1. So let's say if we have more elements on the left side, in that case, the array of mid minus 1 should not be equal to x. That's the case, that means okay, this is the first occurrence, right? So I'll return middle. If that's not the case, what I'll do is I'll check if array of middle is equal to, I mean, is let's say greater than or equal to x. That means we have to search in the left side, right? So we'll have to search in the left side. Mid minus 1. Otherwise, we'll search in the right side. Mid plus 1. That's a simple idea. It's a variation of binary search in which we are simply checking if the middle element is x. In that case, the left of the middle element should not be equal to x. It should be less than x, right? Or in some cases, the middle element can be 0. Like let's say if we have only two elements, like let's say if we have only 5 and 5, right? X is 5. In this case, middle will be 0. We can't check middle minus 1. That will throw the runtime exception. That's why we are writing. If that's the case, that's fine. That means okay, this is the first occurrence of x, so return simply mid. If that's not the case, like if we have something like this, 2, 3, 4. Let's say, let's say this is the middle, right? So here middle is the, I mean, middle equal to x, but mid minus 1. This element is not equal to x, right? That's why, okay, mid was itself the first occurrence. Returning mid, right? In some cases, let's say we have something like this, 5. Here the middle element will be something like this, right? Or sorry, this one. So again, here mid minus 1 is not equal to x, so it's equal to x. That's why we can't return mid. We have to search in the left side, right? So now so if it's equal to x, we'll go to the left side. So let's say if we have something like this, let's say if you're searching for of 3, right? Here x is 3. In that case also we can, if you are here and if array of mid is greater than x, that means x is in the left side. That's why we are searching the left side. Otherwise we'll go in the right side. So that's the typical binary search with a simple twist, and this twist will help us to find the first occurrence of a number in the sorted array. I hope it is clear. Well, yeah, it is complicated. See, that's why it is asked in the interviews, right? So coding is not that easy. Actually, it needs some okay. There's something which can't be understood in 10 minutes, and that's the truth, right? So, okay, so I'll repeat that thing again. But let's say if you're still not able to understand, that is fine. What you can do is you can try to So you can go to the link and you can try this logic. Okay. Like I'm writing the same code, right? I'm writing the similar code here, right? So you can see the code here, and you can take some input. You can dry run this code on those inputs on pen and paper. So that will help you. So this is a little complex, but it is not that complex so that you will not be able to understand, right? Well, I can quick. Okay, I can explain it again. Sorry. Well, so the idea was, let's say, like in some cases, the middle element can be the first occurrence, right? Like let's say if you have something like this, so here middle will be 0, right? So if middle is equal to x, okay, and middle equal to 0, then return middle itself. But we can have something like this: 2, 3, 5, 5, 6, right? Here middle element is 5, which is our x. Uh, and middle minus 1 is not equal to x. Like this is not equal to x. That means this middle itself is the first occurrence. That's why we're returning middle. So I hope this first definition is clear to everyone. Uh, and the simple logic is that like when we should go in the left side. Let's say if we are okay, let's say we have more element like seconds. Here middle element will be this one, right? Or sorry, this one. In this case, uh, the array of middle is greater than x. That's why we need to search in the left side only, right? That's why we are uh, writing r equal to mid minus 1. Now we'll search in from 0 to mid minus 1 in this range only. Okay. Or uh, if it is equal to x, then only we should go in the left side, right? Because that is not the first occurrence of x. Otherwise, go in the right side. So it's quite simple. Uh, okay. Any other doubt in this question? If it's not that clear, why we are checking mid minus 1? Mid equal to 0. I had explained this thing twice, but let me explain it thrice. So I'm talking about this case, right? So let's say if your middle equal to 0, okay? So this is the case for this condition, right? If you're writing mid minus 1, it will throw runtime exception. If mid equal to 0, you can't write this thing. It will throw runtime exception, right? Segmentation fault in C++. That's why we are yeah, this class will be of 2 hours. We'll end this class at 8 p.m. Okay, let me quickly okay, let me so in the meantime just try to think about like how we can write similar code for the for the last occurrence. Okay, so just try to write a code for last occurrence. Keep in mind. I'll be back in 1 minute. I just want to I'll be back in 1 minute. So I'll take a quick break and I'll be back in 1 minute. And in the meantime, you can try solving this one, finding the last occurrence. Yeah. So just give me a minute. Okay, I'm back now. So, yeah, anyone who can think about the solution? Well, I can simply copy the code and I just need to make few changes, right? It's not that simple, right? That's why these kind of questions are asked in the interviews. In top companies like Amazon and Microsoft, Adobe, Flipkart, Goldman Sachs, DSA, Facebook, Google, LinkedIn. There are many companies, right? Cloudera, Salesforce, Uber, Walmart, Flipkart, and other good startups like Paytm, Swiggy, Zomato, CureFit. All these companies ask very good questions, and that's why they pay. I mean, good salary. Well, so the only thing is we'll check if m equal to n minus one, and it should be mid plus one, right? That's the only change. Also, we have to in case of equality, we'll have to search in the right side. And now we are done, right? Yeah, so it's that simple. Yes, Sanjay is right. Okay, Misha is asking, okay, change the function. Yes, done that. Okay, I mean, it was quite simple, right? So, well, let me discuss one more question. Uh, and the question is simply, okay, so another question can be, let's say the fifth question can be, count the frequency of a number sorted, and we can use this thing, right? Like if we have the first occurrence and if we have the last occurrence, then we can, let's say we have something like this, right? Let's say we have this array. What we can do is we can simply the first occurrence will be uh, like we can call that first occurrence function to find the first occurrence. And one more thing, the cost of these functions will be log n, right? They are typically bandwidth search itself, right? The first occurrence will be 4 and the last occurrence will be uh, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? 10, right? So the count will be, sorry, the count of 5 will be last occurrence minus first occurrence plus 1, right? N minus 4 plus 7 5 in this array. So that's how we can count the number of the frequency of an array using in log n time. Well, okay. There's one more question which is quite popular interview question, and the question is go with maximum ones. It's a very popular interview question, right? And has been asked in many companies, including all these top companies. Well, we have, let's say we have a matrix which is uh, a Boolean matrix when with zeros and ones, right? Uh, so we'll be given an array of a matrix of size m cross n. Like we have a matrix of size m cross n. Here it is 4 cross 4. And the good thing is that each row is sorted. So in each row we'll have zeros, then we have ones, zeros, then ones, zeros, then ones, right? Okay. So and again it's a Boolean matrix, so elements will be only 0 and 1. So we won't have any other element than 0 and 1. So we have to find the row with maximum number of ones. Like in this row, we have 4 ones. That's why 2 is the answer. 2 means second row. This is the 0th row, first row, second row, and third row, right? So second row is the answer. So 2 is the answer because in the second row, we have the maximum number of ones. So we have to find the row with maximum number of ones. Okay. So we have to find the row with maximum number of ones. Now let me know if you can solve this problem. Yes, TD Whiskey. So yeah, I mean these questions are professional. See, you can expect same question if you are applying for fresher or you are applying for internship or you're applying for SD2 jobs. The coding questions will be of same level. Sandeep, you can try running this thing after the lecture. Like you can try this thing on your pen, copy and using your pen. What does this have to do with such sorting? Nothing. Sum of every rows. So what is the okay? So someone said some of the okay. Looks good. So method 1, which comes from one user, is we have to find the sum of each row, right? So what we can do is we can from 0 to n, let's say we have m rows, right? So from 0 to m, we'll find sum of ith row, right? So we'll find the sum of ith row, that is the sum, and the maximum value of sum will give us the answer. Like for this row, the sum is 3, this row sum is 2, this row sum is 4, this row sum is 0, right? So for this row, the sum was maximum. That's why, this is the answer, right? So what is the cost of this method? Like this for loop will take big O of m. And how we can find the sum of all the elements in a row? So finding sum of all the elements in a row will take O of n. Because we have n columns, so we have to iterate in the n values, right? So it is m cross n. The method 1 is find sum of each row, and yeah, the row with maximum sum will be the answer, right? But the cost is m cross n. Another method which is simpler could be, instead of finding the sum, we can simply count the number of ones, right? We can iterate in the array, like we can iterate in this row, and we can easily count the number of ones, right? Like here we have 3 ones, here we have 2 ones, here we have 4 ones, right? So the row with maximum number of ones will be our answer. So that will also take O of m cross n time. So we can go to each row and we can find the count of ones in that row, and counting the number of ones in that row will take O of n if we are counting in a simple way, right? That is again m cross n. Yeah, so Manpreet is saying binary search in each row. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Okay, the another thing that we can do is we can, yeah, let's say we had like this 0 0 1 1 0 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 and 0 0 0 0, right? So the idea is just find the number of ones in each row, right? Okay. So okay, let me write some pseudocode for you. So let's say this is the method 2. Is I'm going to let's say we have to call right? We have the matrix, and then we have n, right? Person is the dimension of the matrix. Uh, let's say we have a variable called answer, and for the row, we have a variable called maximum sum. We have a variable called maximum count of one. I'll go to each row, right? We have m rows, that's why I'm going to, sorry, we have m rows, right? It's m cross n. M rows, n columns. Now I'm finding, let's say we have one more variable called the count is the count of one in a given row. So now I'll call a function count of ith row, right? So I'll pass this matrix and that ith row, the column n. It will help me to find to count the number of ones in that, right? And if the this count, I mean, if the count of ones in that row is greater than its max count, we get our answer. So our answer will be its ith row, right? And count will be, and so of course we'll increase the max count as well. So the max count will be this count. Count means the count of ones till now, maximum count of ones till, right? And yeah, so again, the one way could be like this function can be implemented in O of n time. Insert in that row, we can find the number of ones of n. So okay, so if you're finding in O of n, then the cost of this function will be m cross n, right? M cross. If you know, if the array is sorted, like again, each row is sorted, right? So we can find the number of ones. In fact, we can find the number of count of a variable in log n time, right? Using first occurrence and last occurrence. So we do the same thing. To find the number of count of ones, what we can do is we can find simply first occurrence of one. If you are able to find the first occurrence of one, we are sure that okay, the last occurrence will be at the end, right? So we can find or we can count the number of ones in log n time using binary search, using first occurrence. See, each row is nothing but an array for us, and finding the first occurrence of one in that array will take only big O of log n time. So now the cost will reduce to big O of log n. Clear? So that we have method 2 and 3. Let me know if it's clear. Awesome. We have one more approach which is better than this, right? So method 4 is also there. Again, in sometimes they can tell you to write this code, right? They can tell you to implement this function. So in some like sometimes they can tell you to optimize it further. This can be done in O of m plus n, which is better than m cross log n, right? So this can also be done. Any cases? How we can do that? Yeah, explain once again. Yeah, see, we don't have that much time, right? Please explain the binary search. श्वेता यार अभी हमने डिस्कस किया था राइट, ये वाला जो फर्स्ट एग्जाम था लास्ट एग्जाम था कि अगर कोई एरे सॉर्टेड है तो उसमें कैसे हम फाइंड कर लेंगे। तो मतलब जो ये जो क्वेश्चन था कि कोई अगर एरे सॉर्टेड है और उसमें हमें फाइंड करना है किसी नंबर की फ्रिक्वेंसी को, तो तरीका ये था कि उसका फर्स्ट और लास्ट अगर फाइंड करके उसको हम काउंट कर लेंगे, राइट? तो यहाँ भी सेम करना है, यहाँ भी जो मैट्रिक्स है उसका हर एक रो सॉर्टेड है, तो हम हर एक रो में कितने वंस हैं वो काउंट कर लेंगे लॉग इन टाइम में। ठीक है, मतलब बाइनरी सर्च सिंपली हम करके सर्च कर लेंगे, राइट? ये सिंपली बाइनरी सर्च हो जाएगा, मतलब सिंपली बाइनरी सर्च से हम काउंट ऑफ वंस फाइंड कर लेंगे, राइट? क्योंकि हम फर्स्ट अकेंस फाइंड कर सकते हैं ना, फर्स्ट अकेंस मिल जाएगा तो हम बाइनरी सर्च लगा लेंगे, मतलब काउंट कर लेंगे हम। ओके, जिसको समझ में नहीं आया उसके लिए ये है कि यार फिर तुम देख लेना वहां से जो लिंक है। सी, मतलब I mean these questions are little tough, so I mean in some cases you might not understand the solution in first go, right? So what you can do is you can try to analyze and understand the solution. I mean by writing on pen and paper, right? So you can use that pen and paper to you know understand the logic, right? So that will help you when you can't understand everything in one go, right? So things are a little complex sometimes. Well, let me talk about the fourth approach. See, the best outcome of this course will be, I mean, it will at least help you to know, like, okay, what are the things, what are the questions that you should practice for the interviews, right? Okay. And also, we are explaining, like, okay, what is the algorithm which is being used behind the scenes, right? So, that is the purpose of this workshop. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you might not be able to understand something, but yes, for you, you will have, I mean, at least for this lecture, you will have the recordings on the YouTube. Apart from that, you can see the complete working code here on and logic on GeeksForGeeks page, right? So yes, all these things are there, and so if something is not clear, then you can explore that thing by yourself, right? Because after all these things, you can understand that logic quite easily. It should not take much time. Okay. Okay. Explain M plus N. Well, yeah. Actually, I have just wait for a second. I just let me go through the uh, well. So I'm going through the doubts. Doubts by. I mean, uh, doubts of today, right? So. Mhm. Okay, I'll talk about the M plus N approach, but let me talk about the few of the doubts that you have submitted through that doubt form, right? Okay, so if I can, let me share this thing as well with you. I'll share the screen with you. Well, yeah, so here I have the response of that doubt form. I can take few of the questions, right? So the question is, okay, mechanical engineers, 18 pass, 75% aggregate, first experience in code automobile and learn about ML application, currently speaking, seeking opportunities. So for ML and DS roles, is it quite challenging? So how I do so? Well, uh, I think learn the DS, right? Learn the language, learn DS, and there are many companies, and these companies don't care about your, I would say, branch. So if you know DS, if you know coding, then you can easily get a job, right? So I think your branch should not be any issue, right? To get a job in IT. Yeah? Okay, well, okay. The one question is, guide me for IT interviews, right? So the one thing is that you can do is you can uh, go through the interview experiences of all these companies, right? Like I had talked about that thing in my first lecture in my zeroth session, like how you can like on Geeks for Geeks you can go to the interview corner, you can go to the interview experience section, and here you can see the questions asked by these companies, right? Like what they ask in the first round, what they ask in the second round, how many rounds they conduct. Yeah, if you can see the in the second round they ask this question, trapping down water, right? Which is the first question I discussed in this course, right? Reverse linked list and all those things, right? Okay, so basically you'll have mostly you'll have coding questions, right? So yeah, so the one thing is you can do is you can go through these questions, you go through these experiences so that you can know about like how many rounds they conduct, what is the difficulty level of questions, and what exactly they ask in the interview, right? Then only you can prepare for the interview. So that's the idea. Okay. Uh, Also, of course, I mean throughout the course I'll be talking about the interviews and like how you can get a job in those companies. Right? So I'll be talking about all these things throughout the course. Uh, yeah, so don't worry. We don't have Telegram group as such. Yeah, let's try to solve in O plus O of m plus n. Let's see that logic. So the idea is we'll simply find the uh, one in the first row, right? Like here we have one. Uh, Again, in some cases, the first row might not have anyone. That is fine. In that case, we'll start from the last column, like here, right? Uh, and then we will simply look down, right? So let's say if we are an array of, sorry, matrix of ij, right? So I means the ith row and j means the jth column, right? So we'll simply check matrix of I plus 1 j, just the the value at the down of the downside of this value, right? So basically we are going down, and if we have one, that means okay, that row might have more number of ones, right? Okay, let me take another example actually that will help you. Let's say we have something like 0, 0, 1, then 0, 0, 0, 0, then 0, 0. Let's say we have okay 0, 0, 1, 1, then this, then this. Yeah, let's say we have, yeah. So let's start from here. Then when we'll go down at this index, this is 0, right? That means this row, okay, for now the answer will be this row, right? So my current row will be the answer. So for now this row is the answer. So answer is the 0th row. Now when we'll be at this point, this is 0. That means this row can't have more ones than this row, right? Because here we have 0. So we can easily skip this row. Now we'll come further. We'll go down. Here also we have 0. That means okay. This row also can't have more ones than this row, right? So we can skip this row as well. Here again we'll come down again. Here we have 1. That means this row might have more ones than this row, right? But here we have equal ones, so we can simply, so we'll try to move to the left side to see, okay, do we have some more ones in the left side? If that's the case, we'll iterate in the left side until we have a 0, right? So for this example, I mean this is the last one itself in the left side, so we'll again go down. Here we have 1. That means this row might have more ones, right? So we iterate in the left side until we have a 0, right? So yeah, so this is the current row, right, in which we are traversing. So this row will be the answer for now. I would say till now. And again, we'll go down. Here we have 0. That is okay. This row can't be the answer because it can't have more ones than the previous row, right? So that's a simple idea. We are simply traversing down or we are traversing in the left side, right? Okay. So either we are going down or either we are traversing the left side. So that's the simple idea. And again, the cost of traversing down is total O of m, and the cost of traversing left is O of n, right? So that's why it's O of m plus n. Is it clear? Yes, Vishal, every row is sorted. Yeah, so the problem is very common. So the problem is this one. Finding, I think I had opened that problem. Okay. The problem was find with maximum, right? Very typical interview question, right? So let me share it here. That. Yeah. But of course, I mean, you will have the link of the doc where you can see everything, right? Okay. I have few more questions to discuss, but let me. Okay, code of this approach is given on that link, right? So I have just shared the link. On that link, you can find the code, right? Like, sorry, if I can show you that approach. Well, yeah. So this is the approach I was talking about. So you can find the like we are starting from row 1 to row last row, and we're moving towards the left until we have a 0, right? Okay. Otherwise, we're simply going down by one row every time. So that's the code. And you can write this code in multiple ways, right? So this is the one way of writing this code. Okay. Okay. Any any other question regarding this problem or anything that you want to ask in general? Pragya, yes, I have shared that. Okay, so I'll share that link of that Google Doc. I mean, in which we have every class note, right? So in that Google Doc, we have the class notes, right? So I'll share that the link of that doc in the video description of YouTube, right? So this video will be there on YouTube. You can simply find that doc link there in the video's description. Okay. I'll also share that link in the comment section, so don't worry about that. Can same be done in O plus m plus m plus login? No. Yeah, the best method is this one, right? M plus n. The m plus n is the best method. So now let me. Okay, so let's talk about something else, right? So, like now we can talk about some more interviews and some more questions, right? So let's do that thing. Yeah. So you can ask your questions if you have any regarding this problem or regarding any general thing. Pragya, yeah, I'll share the link of that class note which is there on the Google Doc. So don't worry, I'll share that link in the comment of this YouTube video. Yeah. Okay. How it is m plus n? Because we are traversing either in the left side or down side, so it is m plus n only. Okay, let's take some good questions that can help you in the interview. Right? So the one question from Sanjay is: does companies ask only pseudocode? No, they will tell you to write the complete working code, right? So it's not pseudocode. You'll have to write working code. Of course, in the first online coding round, your code will be judged by the compiler on the machine, like on HackerRank or something. in face-to-face rounds or in virtual rounds on Zoom or something, you will have to write code on an editor or something, or in the face-to-face rounds, you will have to write the code on pen and paper or on whiteboard. So your code should be working. It should not be should be. It should be a code in any language. Okay. Campus internship. Okay. Well, I mean, again, normally they ask questions on this level, right? So if we can show you, or one thing that you can do is you can simply go through the internship experience of Amazon, right, or any company, and then you will see you will have 2 or 3 rounds, and in all these rounds they will be asking coding questions, right? Coding questions based on DSA algo. So you will have to practice a lot of questions on DSA algo for internship or for full time. For full time, they will ask questions on other things as well, like on questions on OS, DBMS, networking, or projects, right? But for the internship, they only ask questions on DSA algo. Again, for full time also, I mean, I would say 80% weightage will be on your coding skills, right? But for internship, you can ignore that other things like OS, networking, or DBMS. Right? Well, when we can't solve problem in our whole day, how we can motivate ourselves? I mean, if you want to get a job, then you'll have to do this, right? That's the key, right? Like, see, I mean, many of us, you know, have to do a lot of hard work to get something, right? So I think everyone, does that, right? So you will have to be patient to, solve all these questions. And again, I mean, these questions, I mean, these things might be frustrating in early stage, right? Because in that case, you might not be able to solve questions easily. But I think after few months, you will be able to solve a question in few hours, right? So those things will motivate you. Yes, I mean, competitive coding is, I'd say, is frustrating and it's time consuming initially in the early stage, but yeah, this can be fun after a few months, so you can wait for a few months. Off campus, they don't care about your CPA off campus, right? So CPA is only for the on campus, your first job only, right? Let's say if you're switching from your first to second company, these things will not matter. Okay, yes, I mean, they don't ask multiple ways, but if you are able to solve a question in multiple ways, and if you are able to compare all of them, then that is a better way, right? So if you know how to solve a problem in multiple ways, that's a good thing. Well, okay. What is the process to get a call interview? I mean, are you talking about off campus or on campus? Or I think your question is not clear. So, hmm. Okay, best way to Fang, right? Okay, so do coding, right? Do a lot of coding. So that's the only way to get into Fang. So you must have to be really good at problem solving. You must be good at DS and algo. You must be uh, familiar with all the techniques that is used to solve a problem, right? And you should know how to write code in that given time constraint. Then only you can get a job in this in frank companies, right? So that's the only way. Well, how to get into tier one companies having two businesses and what prepares it. Okay, Vinayak, again, I mean, things are same. Like when I switched from Paytm to Adobe, I had 1 years of experience, right? So 1 year of experience. I know many of my friends have switched from like they are switching companies, right? Like my seniors are switching companies, and they have switched many companies, right? So I know about like what they ask for after 1 year, what they ask for, what they ask to a 2 years experience guy, what they ask to a 3 years experience guy, and so on, right? So things are same, I would say. Things are very same, same or similar, I would say. Like for the first, so let's say if you're applying for SD1, you will be asked a lot of coding questions. They can skip the design round for SD1 roles. SD1 means if your experience is less than 3 years, so you might get a call for SD1 role only. If your experience is 3+ years, in that case, you might get a call for SD2. Okay. So for SD2 roles, they can ask questions on design. Design means system design, which includes low-level design and high-level design, right? Apart from these things, apart from, so again, your coding and design will be the main thing for your interviews. Apart from that, you can expect questions on OS, networking, DBMS, questions on your project, question on your current company, current work, and previous projects, right? So all these things you can expect in the interviews. The best thing that you can do is you can simply have a look at the questions asked in the interviews, right? Okay, like what they have asked earlier in to someone who has a similar experience. Okay, so that's the best way to prepare for the interviews. But yeah, but the main thing is again coding and design, I would say. Okay. Supreet is asking most important thing for a product-based company. Again, DSA and algo and design if you are applying for SD2 roles. Yeah, that's what we are talking about in this course, right? So we are touching, I would say, every topic which is important for coding interviews, right? And which is important for DSA. So we'll cover everything. We'll cover arrays, strings, sorting, searching, then backtracking, greedy, DP. Then in DS we'll cover linked list, stack cube, graph, trees, hashing, heap. So we'll cover everything, right? And the syllabus of this course should be, I mean, it's a good roadmap, right, for all the companies. Okay. Yes, we can use STL for, yeah, you can use STLs for your interviews, right? STLs are allowed. They can ask like how these things are implemented. Let's say if you're using inbuilt sort function, then they can ask how to implement your on sort function. But yes, you can use the inbuilt functions. You can use hashing. You can use, let's say you can use hash map for hashing. Yeah, internships are not important, right? So like you can get a job in FANG without an internship. So internships are helpful, but it's not compulsory. Well, I have talked about this question a lot, so not anymore, right? Yeah, there are some good stuff like again, like CureFit pays in the range of Amazon, right? So there are many good companies, startups, I would say, like Swiggy, Reviewgo, Zomato, Ola, then many startups are there. Like CureFit is one of them, Hotstar. All these startups are paying really good salary and they have a really good work. So yeah, you can join them. So they are like they have work quality similar to the top companies, tier one companies, and they also pay in that range. So yeah, you can join these good startups. Okay, you can Google it, right? Like how to add this thing. So you can simply Google. You'll find answer in Google, right? What if we are uh, so oh sorry, I had an interesting question. Okay, sorry. Hmm. Does it matter? Which thing matter? Like which thing matters for? I mean, you can switch from service-based companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro. Like you can switch from service-based companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL, Accenture to the good companies like tier one companies like Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, Flipkart, Walmart, DSA, eBay. There are many more, right? So you can, I mean, this is possible and you can do this, right? I didn't get your question, which thing matters? Like, but yeah, I mean, you can switch from these companies to the tier one companies. It is possible. And I know many of my friends, my seniors who have done this, right? Well, in some cases, yes. Like sometimes, like Amazon asks only questions only on DSNL, right? So if you are applying for, let's say if you are in college, so in that case, so sorry, the question is only Python with DSNL is enough to get it. Okay, so DSNL with any language is good enough to get a job for some of the companies, but they can ask other questions. Like they can ask questions on OS networking, DBMS questions on our project, right? So DSNL is important thing. Like it can cover 80 to 90% of your interviews, but you should know the basics of CS as well, like how OS works, what is memory management, what is process thread, what is a table, what is a database, right? What is DNS, what is TCP UDP. Okay. Language is not important. Like you can go with any language. So Python is also a good choice for DSN algo. Okay. Well, I'm 2020 pass out. What should I do now to get a job? Well, the first thing is to prepare for the interviews and then to get the interview call, right? So again, getting an interview call is tough if you're not from a tier one college, right? So in that case, you'll have to make your profile impressive. Impressive means either you can be really good competitive coder, like let's say if you are a six-star coder at CodeChef, then companies will call you, right? So do something so that you can get interview calls easily, so that your profile can easily get shortlisted. So the one way of making your profile impressive is competitive coding. Be a good, you know, ranker at any competitive coding site. That's the one thing. Another thing could be, uh, you know, be good at development, right? Build something on and publish on GitHub, right? So that you can have, so that you can have. So let's say if you have built something on and published on GitHub, these things will help you to get the interview calls, right? Again, winning hackathons will also help you. But if you're not from a tier one college, in that case, you will have to do all these things to get a job. I mean, to get an interview call. Again, cracking the interviews, like in cracking interviews, your college will not matter. But yes, to get the interview call, your college will matter because you're a fresher. So that's the thing. Well, okay. So I'll take few more questions. English, Hindi or English is matter in interview. Okay. Well, actually, I mean, you can use both in the on-campus interviews, right? They don't care much about your language, your communication. Again, some companies like Goldman Sachs and some banking companies, they care a lot about your communications. But other companies, let's say Amazon, let's say Paytm, Disha. Actually, see, I mean, I know my friends who have cracked the interviews in Hindi. Yeah, so they have cracked the interviews of Amazon, right, in Hindi. So, yeah, so you can use mix of both. Like you can use a mix of Hindi and English in the coding interviews, right? But yes, for the in the HR round, you will have to speak in English because they are really I don't know, like they don't like Hindi. That could be the one reason. But yeah, for in the coding rounds, you can easily speak in Hindi. This is allowed for the on campus, I would say. But let's say if you're applying for SD2 roles, they expect a good communication skill, right? So in that case, you can't speak in Hindi, right? But for freshers, I mean, it is allowed to speak in Hindi, or you can use mix of both, right? You can use Hindi plus English, so both are fine. So don't take a burden for English, right? I mean, of English right now. Focus on coding, and also I think after some practice, you will be able to explain things, right? Because you will have to just explain your code, right? So that won't be a big thing for you. So if you can practice for 1 month, then you can easily explain your code, right, to the interviewer. So and that should be good enough to get a job. You don't need to be a news anchor or something, or a very good communicator to get a job, right? If you can explain your code, that is well enough. That is good enough to get a job. Uh, hmm. Harshita, okay, I'll talk to my team. Okay, so if it is possible, then I'll tell them to open the contest again, right? By doing code, right? So you have to do coding, right? I used Gigs for Gigs, other websites as well for preparation. So yeah, you'll have to do a lot of coding to get a job. What kind of jobs? Okay, so normally developers, then there are testers, then there are many profiles, right? So you can simply Google about the different domain in software industry, right? Okay. Okay, then tomorrow I'll start with the strings. So tomorrow I'll of course we will talk about sorting a lot, right? We'll solve some more questions on sorting, but we are done with binary search, right? So binary search is done. Uh, but tomorrow I'll talk about a string, then I'll talk about hashing. Okay, and in the meantime, like next week I'll solve some more questions on sorting and some sorting algorithm like quick sort and merge sort, right? So that's the plan. Okay, then. Thank you for joining us and attending this session. So we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.